Welcome to episode 97 of the 3M Fear podcast. On the night of July 2nd, 2024, around 12:12 a.m., police in a village near Bareilly found the body of a woman. At first, it looked like a normal murder case. Tragic, but not unusual. But when the officers looked closer, they felt something was off. The way the woman had died reminded them of a similar case that happened back in 2023. That old case had caused panic in almost 90 villages around Bareilly. Women had started avoiding going outside, especially after dark. And now there was another body here, and the police began to worry. Had the serial killer returned? Hello and welcome to the 3am Fear podcast. I'm Nikita Ferrao, mystery and thriller author. On this podcast, I talk about real crimes and real people. Due to the graphic nature of some of this content, listener discretion is advised. You can find the episode show notes on my website 3amfear.com. Let's get started. It all started on June 5th, 2023, when the Shahi police station in Bareilly got a phone call. A body had been found in the sugarcane fields of the Pratapur village. The victim was a 50-year-old woman named Kalavati. When the police reached the spot, they found that she had been strangled to death. Kalavati wasn't someone who had problems with anyone. She had no enemies, she was not involved in any fights or disputes. The police were puzzled, but they took this case seriously and they began looking for a killer. But before they could move forward in Kalavati's case and do any real progress, something even more disturbing happened. Just 2 weeks after Kalavati's body was found, on July 19th, another body was found. This time in the Kulcha village, and again, this body was found next to the sugarcane fields. The woman was another 50-year-old woman named Dhanwati. Just like Kalavati, Dhanwati was a quiet woman. She had no enemies, she was not involved in any fights, and her death was strangulation, the exact same way that Kalavati was murdered. At first, the police thought that these were two separate cases. They happened in two separate areas. These women didn't have any link. They never spoke to each other. They had nothing in common. So the police treated them as two separate cases. Two women who were strangled to death in two different villages. But as the police dug deeper, they couldn't find any real leads. Both cases hit dead ends. Then, months passed without any answers, until July of 2024, when yet another woman's body was found in the exact same way. That's when the police realized that this was not random. This was a pattern. There was a killer, a serial killer who might be targeting women in these villages, killing them in the exact same way, in the exact same position. And so, the chilling idea that haunted people of Bareilly in 2023 came back to life. The Bareilly serial killer might have returned. But things were far from over. Just a few days after the second murder on June 30th of 2023, the police found another body, a third in less than a month. This time, the woman's name was Premwati, a 55-year-old woman from the Anandpur village. Her body was discovered near the fields just like the others. But something was different about her murder. Premwati had been strangled with her own sari's pallu, the loose end of her sari. The pallu wasn't just used to choke her, It was tied tightly around her neck, and the knot was placed on the left side, almost as if the killer wanted to make sure she didn't survive. Now, the police had three dead women, all killed in the same way. The police were under pressure. They tried doing everything they could. They questioned the villagers, they spoke to the family members, they searched for clues, but they couldn't find anything. And just when they thought that things couldn't get any worse, they did. On July 22nd, the fourth body was found, this time in the Kajuria village. She was found strangled in a chili farm. She had been killed in the exact same way as Premvati. She was strangled with her own clothing, and the knot again was carefully tied to make sure that she could not escape. And then came the fifth body, a woman named Veeravati, who was found dead in the forested area of Seva Jwalapur village on August 23, 2023. Same pattern, same horror. Now, it wasn't just the villagers who were terrified, even the police were shaken. There was no way to know where the next murder would happen. Every village had a possibility. All they knew was that this killer was targeting women who were possibly above the age of 50. He was strangling them with their own clothing in fields. But other than that, the killer wasn't leaving behind any clues. There was no way to know which field, which woman might be attacked next. When the murders first started happening, the police didn't even realize that they were connected. And by the time they realized, it was too late. The locations were too spread out. It was almost impossible. It was almost as if the killer was playing a game, one where the police didn't know they were part of. And then, suddenly, just as everything had started, it stopped. After the fifth murder, there were no bodies found for the next 2 months. The villagers let out a sigh of relief. Maybe the killer had moved on. Maybe he was scared. Maybe he was waiting. Or maybe he just decided he didn't want to do this anymore. Life slowly started going back to normal. People started stepping out of their homes. Women went to their fields and markets. The fear started to fade. But the peace, it didn't last long. On October 31st, 2023, the terror returned. In Lakhimpur village, the body of a 65-year-old woman named Mahmoodan was found in the sugarcane fields. That day, she had been wearing a salwar suit just before she was strangled with her very own dupatta. The killer had tied her dupatta tightly around her neck, in the exact same knot, in the exact same place. This was the sixth known murder. And now, no one knew who was next. After this, the pace of the killings began to pick up, and fear swept through the villages like wildfire. It wasn't just women who were scared. Men, women, young, old, everyone was scared. They didn't know if they were next, someone in their family was next. They didn't know anything. The villages that had once buzzed with life now became quiet. They were afraid that if they became happy, someone would strike. They knew that somewhere out there, the killer was there. He was watching and waiting to strike. After the murder of Mahmoodan on October 31st, 2023, the fear in Bareilly's villages only got worse. Then, on November 20th, in the Karseni village, the body of a woman named Dularao Devi was found. She had been strangled with her sari's pallu just like the others. It was becoming more predictable because now the police knew that the killer was not going to stop. And this just scared everyone. Just 6 days later, on November 26th, another body was found. This time, it was a 63-year-old woman named Urmila from Jagdishpur village. Again, her sari's pallu was tightly tied around her neck, just like the previous murders. The police were exhausted and overwhelmed. They were trying to investigate, trying to follow every single lead that they could, but nothing led them to the killer. It always felt as if the killer was one step ahead of them. By now, even people outside the investigation could see a clear pattern. All victims were women, 45 to 65-year-olds, killed near fields, strangled with their own sari or dupatta. But when the murders first began, the police didn't connect the dots. The murders happened in three different areas: Shahi, Shishgar, and Shergar. From our point of view, it's easy to look back and say, these were the three places, why didn't the police do anything? But at that time, the police had no idea. It was smaller fields, smaller areas, women who had no connections to each other. At that time, it wasn't that obvious. Eventually, the police would go on to arrest three men. They thought that maybe one of them was responsible. All three men were taken into custody and interrogated. But even after they were locked up, more murders happened. And that's when the police realized these three men had nothing to do with the murders, and the real killer was still outside. The connection between all the murders started becoming clear only after they found the last victim, who was killed on July 2nd, 2024. Her name was Anita Devi. Anita, a resident of the Bujia Jagir village in Shergar, had gone to her maternal home in Fatehganj Khirka village. She left the house on July 2nd and went to the bank to withdraw some money, but she never made it home. By 8 pm, her husband and son grew worried. They had searched everywhere for her, on the roads, in the nearby fields, around the village, everywhere. They had asked everyone, but no one had seen her. And that's when their worst fears came true. A rumor quickly spread through the village. A woman's body had been found in the sugarcane fields. By the time Anita's family reached the field, her body had already been taken in for an autopsy. The police later confirmed that the body belonged to Anita by showing her family documents like her Aadhaar card. Just like all the other victims, Anita had been strangled with her sari's pallu, and the knot was tied with the exact same precision. But this time, when the police were looking at her body, something felt different. And that's when it hit them. This wasn't just a random murder. No ordinary man could commit 9 murders in just 14 months, all following the same method, leaving no clues, no witnesses, and creating so much fear. How? This killer was something else: methodical, cold, and invisible. And now, with Anita's death, the full horror of this case was finally coming into focus. After Anita's murder, the police came forward and they said that there was a serial killer on the loose. They were official about it, and they also admitted that they were trying their best to find him. And so a special mission was launched called Operation Talash. It wasn't just a regular operation. This was war. The Bareilly police formed 22 dedicated teams. Their only goal was to catch the killer, no matter what it took. They didn't want to take any chances. They even sent some of their officers all the way to Mumbai, where they received special training in tracking serial killers. They spoke with criminologists and criminal psychologists to understand who was this person, what twisted mind did he have, and what were they working with. And that's when they came up with a risky but a very clever plan. They decided that a few female officers would go to live in these villages like village women. They would disguise as village women, they would completely blend in. It would almost be impossible for someone on the outside to know that these women were not a part of the village. The hope was that the killer who was roaming around would see one of these women, think that they were village women, and try to kill them. Now, while some of the officers were undercover, the rest of the force were going all out. They checked CCTV footages from 1,500 cameras and even installed 600 new cameras with the help of the local villagers. They made sketches of suspects based on vague descriptions and hung wanted posters everywhere. People were questioned. Every clue, no matter how small, was investigated. But even with all of this effort, they were stuck. Weeks passed with no real leads, no suspects, no breakthrough. The pressure was intense. The police were starting to lose hope. And then there came a phone call that changed everything. A senior police officer would go on to say that they got a tip off from a tea stall. A worker at the tea stall shared an audio clip with a police personnel, and in that audio clip, there was a person who was boasting, talking about how he had murdered women and got away with it. The informer also said that the suspect seemed somewhat mentally unstable. He was behaving very weird, and he was just going on talking about how he had murdered so many women and how no one would catch him. The suspect was even making fun of the police, saying that he got away with so much and the police couldn't do anything about it. And the way that he was talking and laughing about it, it made the tea stall person and the police believe that this man was mentally unstable. Without wasting a second, the police rushed to the location, and finally, they caught the man who had haunted Bareilly for over a year. This man's name was Kuldeep Kumar Gangwar, a 35-year-old man. While he was in custody, the big question was why? Why did he kill all these women? Now, to understand that, we have to go back and learn more about Kuldeep's life. Kuldeep lived in Nawabganj, a village under the Bakarganj police station area in Bareilly. He had two sisters, and his childhood was anything but normal. His father, Baburam, had married twice. His second wife lived with him while his first wife was still alive, and this caused a lot of tension. The two women often fought. The second wife would constantly provoke the first, and Baburam grew to hate his first wife, and soon their whole life was a mess. And all of this was happening in front of young Kuldeep. None of anything that Kuldeep did justifies, but this kind of trauma doesn't fade easily. From a young age, Kuldeep had seen his mother being belittled by this other woman whom his father brought in. The two women would constantly fight in the house because both of them wanted an equal right as the wife of Baburam, and Baburam always picked his second wife. From a young age, Kuldeep showed signs that he was mentally unstable. He had trouble forming sentences and struggled to express his feelings. But there was one thing that he knew. He hated his stepmother, and over time, he started to hate women. Despite his troubled past, Kuldeep eventually became an adult. In 2014, his father found him a bride. But things weren't easy, and history repeated itself. Just like his father, Kuldeep started abusing his wife. At first, she tolerated it, but in 2018, the abuse became unbearable and she ran away from the house, leaving him alone. Now, Kuldeep had no job, no purpose. His wife ran away and he started hating women. He often got drunk. He would wander from village to village. Sometimes he would sleep on the streets, sometimes at his sister's house, sometimes with his uncle. He had no home, no job, no routine, no life. People in the villages would often see him wandering around and think that this is another crazy guy who's just walking around with no purpose in life and no home. Some felt sorry for him. They would give him food or clothes. He had no vehicles, not even a bicycle. So he was basically walking around in possibly ragged clothes or old clothes with nothing to do. Now, while most of the people were feeling bad for him and thinking that he had no purpose in life, Kuldeep had something else going on in his mind. Because he was walking around a lot, he learned the ins and outs of every village. He knew the fields, he knew the lanes, he knew the hidden corners, he knew everything. In fact, he had stalked the villagers so much that he even knew which person went where, worked where, had how many people in their house, possibly. Then one day, in June of 2023, everything changed. Kuldeep was walking to his sister's house when he saw a woman named Dhanvati working alone in the fields. He tried to talk to her. He made some inappropriate advances and she immediately rejected him. This rejection set him off. Kuldeep became so angry that in that moment he murdered her. It was his first kill, and once he tasted it, he couldn't stop. Kuldeep's first murder happened when Dhanvati rejected him. He was angry, he attacked her, he strangled her. He didn't think much when it was happening. But after that, he couldn't stop. Just to make sure that she was really dead, he took her sari's pallu and tied it tightly around her neck. And then, without looking back, he ran away. And just like that, it began. Every time Kuldeep visited his uncle's village, where his sisters lived, he would always be watching to see if any woman was working alone, especially in the sugarcane fields. And anytime he found someone alone, he would walk up to her and ask for sexual favors. And every time the answer was no. He knew the answer was going to be no. And every time he killed them. This became a pattern. A woman alone, a request, rejection, rage, and finally, murder. It was said that if Kuldeep ever noticed someone watching him or if he felt like someone was following him, he wouldn't attack that day. He would just quietly slip away and then come back when that person was alone. He would specifically choose sugarcane fields for a reason. If you've ever seen a sugarcane field, you know why. They are tall, dense, perfect for hiding. From the outside, you can't see anything that is happening inside. It's almost like a green wall. So even if someone walked by while Kuldeep was committing a murder, they won't have a clue of what's going on. And this made him very dangerous. He knew how to hide, he knew where and when to strike. Now all the women that Kuldeep murdered, none of them were sexually assaulted. But this is something strange about Kuldeep. Yes, he did have sexual desires, but when it came to acting on them, he couldn't do it. He didn't have the courage. Or maybe his mind was working in a different way. So if he found a woman attractive, instead of doing something sexual, he'd just kill the woman and then leave. But before he left, he always took something from them as a trophy. Sometimes it would be a bindi, a bangle, a lipstick, a small piece of the blouse, anything. He would keep all these things with him. And when the police finally caught him, they found all his trophies. Kuldeep even confessed to 6 of the 9 murders himself. And here's where the story gets even darker. You might think, okay, he was taking things from victims. He was smart enough not to leave clues. But the truth is, Kuldeep wasn't clever at all. He never planned anything in detail. He didn't take detailed notes of, I'm going to take this path, I'm going to hide the body in this way. He was just poor. He was so poor that he didn't have anything on him. He had no vehicle, no bag, no phones, no tools, nothing. So there was nothing that could tie back to him. This is what made him invisible to the police. His biggest weakness, his poverty, had also become his biggest strength. And the most chilling part of all, nobody believed he could do it. Anyone who knew him, Anyone who had seen him thought of him as just this poor, crazy man who didn't have anything, who didn't have any money, who didn't even have a proper family. No one could have believed that he could do all these murders. It is said that Kuldeep was known in his very own village as someone who couldn't even kill a mosquito, a quiet, odd man, mentally unstable, the guy that people pitied. Some villagers even started spreading strange rumors like these women never existed. Maybe someone else was behind this. It couldn't be Kuldeep. He was not capable of this. But the truth was right there, hiding in plain sight. Kuldeep, the man they thought was harmless, had become a monster. People in his village remembered him as someone who was afraid of small children, someone who wouldn't even hurt an ant. To them, it just didn't add up. When the families of the victims found out about Kuldeep, even they couldn't believe. They said this kind of crime can only be done by someone clever, someone who plans everything like a movie villain. But Kuldeep, he doesn't even know how to hide a body properly. He's not smart enough to do all of this. In total, there were 3 sketches that were shared by the police. One of those sketches was made after Kuldeep was arrested, but the police told the people that this sketch was done before he was arrested. When people found out, they were shocked. They felt like the police were trying to frame Kuldeep. They believed that the police had caught the wrong guy and that they were just making up evidences so that they could arrest him. But the facts couldn't be ignored. And that Kuldeep confessed to 6 of the 9 murders, that also is an important aspect. Now, Kuldeep just didn't sit there and say, I killed 6 of the 9 people. He also took the police to the exact crime scenes. He recreated the murders step by step, showing them exactly how everything was done. And the most disturbing part of all, Kuldeep was laughing during this. When the reporters asked him, Why did you kill these women? Kuldeep answered, Because they were dirty women. They said that he called his 6 victims Shikar. He had no remorse. It was horrifying. He killed them, but in his twisted mind, he thought that they were the problem, not him. He had no guilt, no shame, no fear, just laughter. This shocked everyone. The thing is, because of all the documentaries and movies that are made out about serial killers, people think that serial killers work and act in a specific way. They think that there are specific clues or specific hints that a person gives out before they are going to commit a murder or after they commit a murder. But the truth is, in real life, it's very difficult to figure out who might be hiding what. Amarjit Sada was a very young boy and he became one of the world's youngest serial killers from India. The most popular serial killer, Ted Bundy, was into law. He was a very polished person in real life. He knew so much about the law. If there was not enough evidence against him, no one would have believed that he was a murderer. You never know who's hiding what. And with that, the case of Kuldeep, the Sari killer of Bareilly, came to a chilling end. If you have come this far, thank you so much for sticking with me. This year, I plan to cover more stories connected to serial killers, cults, and of course, haunted places and haunted objects. If there is any case or any story that you want me to dig into and cover, then do let me know. You can always drop it in the comments and I'll definitely cover it. I have officially started my fiction channel. It's on YouTube called 3MF of Fiction. Do check it out because we are going to come up with some amazing fiction stories, both horror as well as thriller. Thank you so much for sticking with me. I'll see you next week. Until then, stay kind and stay safe out there.